Okay, people like to talk about how we have consent of the governed and how fair it is and how important it is to have democracy, or technically a constitutional republic as it really is, to be able to have a good society. Well, consent of the governed isn't really consent. Well, for starters, voting, which overlaps with the concept of consent of the governed, isn't consensual. It isn't unanimous. It's merely just the majority being pitted against the minority. It's just a popularity contest. No less, no more. It's just, bunch of people want this on everyone, so even if other people vote differently, or don't vote at all, they have to follow them. Remember, voting in a nutshell. Some people win, some people lose. Everyone, regardless of that, has to obey. Some people are like, but what's wrong with majority rule? It's the majority. Most people did it this way, so everyone should have to follow them. Well, the problem with that is, it's not unanimous. For it to be consent, like, consent of the government, for that term to be legitimate, which it isn't, everyone would have to agree with it. That's what consent is. Consent is when all parties involved say yes. It isn't just most people, it isn't just some people, it isn't just one or everyone except just one guy, it's everybody. So if voting is just rule of the majority rule, then that's not consent. Not everyone said yes, therefore it's not consent. Consent means everybody says yes. So some people to that are going to say, we can't have everyone consent. Well, I think with anarcho-capitalism we can. Say with as big countries such as the US, of course not everyone's going to consent. But with smaller groups, I believe people can consent. Because if they're smaller groups, there's less people, so they're easier to manage, less likely to be that one guy or one group of people that says no. The smaller group, the more likely everyone is to say yes. Simply because, there's less variation, less risk for a different opinion. It's a smaller group. So that's why I think Ancapistan is a great alternative to government, because it's more manageable. Instead of just one-size-fits-all law of the land government, you have your communes/settlements that can really cater to their individuals. You just can't do that with government. It's one-size-fits-all, and obviously one size doesn't fit all. Another way consent of the governed lacks any legitimacy is that you didn't sign a contract to be ruled over by these people in suits. You pretty much just have to follow them because you're here and they're here, and they rule over the land that you're in. Government just dumps these services and dumps these taxes on you that you didn't even ask for. I mean, yeah, you may need said services, but you most certainly didn't ask for them or sign a contract to pay for them, so you can't call it consent to govern if you just have to follow it. That's not right. Also, consent of the governed seems to be bringing in a lot of things I really didn't consent to. I've already been over truancy laws, and war on drugs, and gun control, and eminent domain, and TSA, groping, and NSA spying, and foreign wars, and property taxes, entirely. But they're important to bring up again because I didn't fucking consent to those. So, where's the consent governed with that? I mean, if most people agree with that stuff or don't even care to really go against it, then it's gonna remain. It doesn't matter how much I don't like it. If most people do or just don't care or passively support it, it's gonna remain unless I find a way to, get past that. So, with consent of the governed, you're gonna get lots of bullshit despite being, consent of the governed. And going a little bit into libertarianism, why monarchy wouldn't work is because it still contains consent of the governed. I mean, yeah, you got this lenient government that most people voted for, but even though most people voted for it, not everyone voted for it, so it's still not really consent. I mean, what if people don't want a lenient government? What if people want to throw people in a cage for what they put in their body, or force them to go to school just because they're minors, or pay for all this war, or have all these, war and terror / civil liberty violations and police brutality and other shit. What if people want that? Well, then they can't get it with minarchy because minarchy doesn't have that crap. So they're being left out, they're being let down. So even though they want something bad and the minarchists want something good, or at least supposedly good, people still don't get all the choice they should have. So that's one reason libertarianism wouldn't work, is because it's not consistent with consent and other logical things. So with anarchy, there's the likelihood that you can get unanimous consent, which is true consent, and that nobody has to feel left out because everyone consented. It's unanimous after all. So yeah, if you want true consent, it has to be unanimous. You can't just have a bunch of people gang up on someone. It's consensual to all those people except for the person they're ganging up on. That's mostly consensual, but it really isn't consensual overall, since one person has consent. You can't have some people wanting to take over some other people's property, and some don't want their property taken away, because that's not unanimous either. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, fave, subscribe, share, comment. Yeah, that's what I always say.